Madre John, Ned, and Juanito, sitting on the side of my bed in my little casita at the edge of the Yacamal Pueblo. It's a little bare, but it's really nice. It's all brand new, constructed by my friend Marcos Chan, who's a Mayan man. I've been here a couple months and I love it. And I had slept for a couple hours really hard, and then I think the dogs in the neighborhood woke me up. So it's almost 1 o'clock, and I've been up for a couple hours going over videos I had shot yesterday. And in one of those videos, that's part 3 of uh, one key to the ecstatic life is presence, being here now. So I was watching part 3, and in it I tell a story about I had taken into my van a homeless girl just to help her dry out. And she was obsessed with, I have to find my psychologist. So I'll put a link to that video because I went and found that psychologist and we had a conversation about Sam, but I'm not going to get into that now. But it opens up other stories because I was watching it. I went, Carl Mumpower, her psychologist. Let's Google him. And I came up with him on Google Maps for his psychology practice. And one of the pictures there, I went, wow, that was 2020. It was in 2020 when I saw him. And one of the pictures showed his office. I went, holy shit. Remember going there to talk to him? And there's so many stories. There's story on top of story. Sam had slipped away from me, but she had said, she had been obsessed with, I have to find my psychologist. And we had gone to one of the professional office buildings in Asheville looking for him. And they said, no, he's not here anymore. There was a problem with his dog. And I said, well, what was the problem with his dog? Well, he bit people. His dog bit people, so he couldn't stay here anymore. And they told me where his new office was. So then Sam slipped away, and I was hoping maybe I could find her by maybe she had gone to his Carl Mumpower's office. So I went to Carl Mumpower's office, and it was getting close to 5 o'clock, and Sam was mostly dried out, but still not real clear, and I was really worried about her being on the street. So I was feeling urgent to find her. And when I got to Carl's office on the south side of Asheville, it was in a professional office building, and the gate to the parking lot, it was the out gate for a staff parking lot, and there was no way I could get in. And it was almost 5 o'clock, and I just did not want to miss him. And I was driving a big old camper van, an 88 Ford Econoline that was built like an armored car. It had such sheet metal. The thing was so heavy. I thought, I could break that gate. And I did. I just snapped it off real easy and parked in the parking lot. And I had my little Chihuahua Pancho with me. And Pancho just loved to be with me. And it was a hot day, and it was a dark red camper van. So I left the door open, but I wedged a wastebasket that was full of like phone peripherals. It was really heavy between the console and the seat. And Pancho was short. She couldn't jump up on the seat or anything. I thought, okay, that way she'll be cool and she can't get out. So I went over and talked to Carl. And I went in there, and he was in with a client, and there was a sign on the counter where you check in, and it said, don't touch the dog, he bites. But the dog wasn't there. So we had our conversation, and I described that on the other video. And I went out, left, and there was my little Chihuahua prancing happily in front of the office, so proud of herself. I said, how the hell did you get out of that car? So we went over to the car. She must have thrown her full force against that wastebasket, because the wastebasket was out on the ground and she was free. So there's so many other stories connected with this. Should I tell any of the others? Well, I'm not going to tell the peripheral ones. But the other one related to Carl Mumpower was when I looked him up just now online. The Google Maps listing showed that office, which was great. And then there was one below it, John Boyle, who was a great writer for the actual Citizen Times. I always loved him. And dated 2019, there was a question: is Carl Mumpower's dog a villain also? And Carl was this super conservative guy on the city council, and he was such a troublemaker. And John says, yeah, well, every year when the the arts paper runs a contest for who's the biggest villain in Nashville, Carl always comes up as he wins the contest every year. And the title of the John was running an Answer Man column, and the question to the Answer Man was, is Carl Mumpower's dog a villain too? Oh, what a blast from the past that was. And they went into the whole story about it. At that previous building, his dog had been somebody. So it's real. My 5 years on the road feel like a dream because it happened at the height of the COVID. And I just had this huge spiritual experience. And I left my apartment in the city and traveled in a camper van up in the high mountains of Appalachia, and all that was so magical and mystical. And everything was changing so fast, and I kept having more spiritual experiences. It was all a blur. That first year was such a blur. So to go back and go, yes, it was real. I had that conversation with him, and he did have that crazy dog. Oh Lord. Okay. It's more. It ties into other stories that I'm just not going to tell now. All right. Bye.